talk you through each of the, or just talk to you about one method for each of them that we've taught them this year. So we brought this up at the beginning of the meeting, and I just want to go over with you this point sort of further down here, when it's that children have to learn to be able to add and subtract a 2-digit number to a 1-digit number, a 2-digit number and tens, a 2-digit number and a 2-digit number, and they also have to be confident to add 3 single-digit numbers together. On your chairs, we've also photocopied for you the calculation policy for year 2. So that also goes through addition and subtraction, multiplication and division in more detail. So I won't go through that in such detail now, but you can have a look at that. And if you have any questions at the end or later on, you can come and ask Jade or I. Okay, so I'm first of all going to talk to you about how we teach children to add a 2-digit number to a 2-digit number. So when adding a 2-digit number and a 2-digit number together, we encourage the children to partition the numbers. And by partitioning, it means when we're splitting a number up into smaller numbers, but when you put them back together again, they make the same total. So for example, it might be 36 equals 30 add 6, or it could be 20 add 16, or 10 add 26. But when we're asking them to add a 2-digit number and a 2-digit number together, we just want them in year 2 to partition them into tens and ones to make it more manageable for them. So if we have a look here at the calculation 25 add 34, we first of all partition 25, and you can see that across the top here we've done 20 add 5, and then 34, 30 add 4, and then we ask them to add together the tens, which equal 50, and then the ones, which equals 9, and then we get them to add them back together again. So that's one way that we've taught them this year, and we've encouraged them to lay it out like that so that when they do move forward into Key Stage 2, and if they move on to using more of a column method, this will help them. We also, just to go over this one as well, if you have a number where it bridges 10, and by bridging 10 we mean when they're adding the ones together, it then crosses over 10. We've taught them a very similar way. So if you've got 28 add 34, you partition the 28 and then the 34, add the tens together, and this time adding 8 and 4 equals 12. So what we get them to do is just at the beginning is that we ask them again to partition that second number so that they remember that when they're adding 50 they must add 10 to make 60 and then add the 2. Quite often what you find is that they might then say, oh, it's 52, and they forget about the 110 in the 12. Okay, now when we're subtracting to a 1-digit number, so taking away a 1-digit number from a 2-digit number, the method that we've taught them is using a number line, so an empty number line. So if we were looking at 73 take away 9, we would ask them to put 73 this side on the number line, and then we would ask them to take away until they jumped back to a friendly 10. So we say, okay, 73, take away 3, we get back to 70. And then we look at that single digit that we are subtracting, and this is where, with what Jade was saying, it's so important that they then know these bonds, because if they are fluent with them, they'll be very quickly able to say, oh, 3 and something makes 9, and they'll know that it's 6, and then they can say, okay, now we need to do 70, take away 6, and then I get to 64. And it's also really important as well that they then know, when they get to the 70 here, if they know their number bonds to 10 and they know the number facts family, so they know the 2 addition and the 2 subtraction facts in the number bonds to 10, they'll know very quickly that 10 take away 6 is 4, and then they can apply that known knowledge. When subtracting a 2-digit number from a 2-digit number, then the method is similar, but here what we encourage them to do is that at first, the second digit that they're taking away, we would ask them to partition that into tens and ones, and we would first of all, if you're here at 73, we'd get them to take away 10. As Jade said, they're really confident at doing that. Once they've taken away that 10, they've got to 63, and they then need to then jump back again, similar to when they were subtracting a single digit, to the friendly 10, so they know again that it's 3. And they then again look at that second, the 1 number in the 19, and they know that then they've taken away 3, so I've got to take away 6 more. So it's very similar, but it's just that they're taking away the 10s first. And sorry, I didn't say for those bits. When it's a two-digit number, two-digit numbers that are quite far apart, we would encourage them to jump back on a number line. If the numbers are fairly close together, like 73 and 59, we would teach the children to jump up on a number line. And we call this method finding the difference. So for this one, we would get the children to put 73 take away 59, they put 59 on the left-hand side, 73 on the right. And from 59, we would get them to jump up to the friendly 10 again. And again, using those number ones to 10, 9 and 1 equals 10. Then we would get them to jump in 10s. And then when they get to then 70 here, they then need to jump on that extra 3. And then we ask them to count up the jumps to find the difference between the numbers. So those are the 2 different methods that we teach them in Year 2, but both using a number line. So the other things that they have to do in Year 2 with regards to multiplication and division, if I skip on, so by the end of Year 2 the children must be fluent with the 2, 5 and 10 times table, but they must also be familiar with the 3 times table, because that comes up often where they have to know how to count in 3s, so that comes up quite a bit as well. And you'll know, some of you from siblings in Key Stage 2, if they can really crack those times tables here, it'll make it much easier going forward in Year 3 and Year 4. So with multiplication, children need to understand that multiplication is the same as repeated addition. And the recommended method that we have been using in Year 2 is, again, using an empty number line. So children will be presented with a calculation such as 5 times 4, and we've been teaching them this year in Key Stage 1 and in Key Stage 2 that we would say that 5 4 times. So this time what they would do is they'd again have an empty number line, and they would be jumping in steps of 5, okay, and they would do that 4 times. So you can see here, so they go 1 jump, 2 jump, 3 jump, 4 jump, and then however many, once they've done those 4 jumps, they will then see that 5 4 times is 20. And again, I didn't say this for addition, but they do need to know that with addition and multiplication, that they are commutative. So it doesn't matter which way round you do them, you still get the same result. Now with division, by the end of Year 2, they must be fluent with all related division facts for the 2, 5 and 10 times tables. So they need to know that multiplication and division are the inverse of each other. And they must also be familiar with the division facts for the 3 times table. Now with division, there are 2 ways of thinking about it. You can think about division as sharing, where I have an amount and I might share it equally between 3 people. And also as grouping, where you have an amount and I'm going to say, right, I'm going to have 1 group of 3, 2 groups of 3, and you can do it in 2 different ways. And in the calculation policy, that shows you in more detail what the difference is between those, two. So in Year 2, children need to understand that division is the same as repeated subtraction. So what we taught them this year is when they look at a calculation like that, we would read it as 8 divided by 2 equals. But to try and help them when they've been working this out, we've said to them, so that we say 8 grouped in 2 equals, or 8 divided into groups of 2 equals, okay? So this time, instead of starting on the left-hand side, they start on the right-hand side. They start at the 8, which is the starting number in the calculation, and they jump back in steps of 2. So whichever the second number is, whatever groups they're making, they jump back in those steps until they can't take away any more, so until they get to 0. And then however many jumps they've done tells them how many groups of that number are in 8, or in the starting number. Now, I'm just going to go over now, because I'm sure lots of you know that during the summer term, the children in Year 2 will take the Key Stage 1 assessments. As I said, these will take place in the summer